Morning, campers. Now, coffee. I don't normally talk about money much, but this is for my subscribers, really. When I started my podcast about 5 years ago, I did say, look, get some XRP if you can, as a little gamble, you know, because if you don't know what, I mean, I'm sending messages to my elder kids just before this, making this video, sending them saying, just get some more XRP if you can, just get some more XRP. Why XRP? Well, I'll just tell you my own crypto story very briefly. Firstly, crypto is not going away. Secondly, crypto is not inherently evil, the same as money is not inherently evil. It's a tool, right? And the people that go, oh, crypto's evil, it's used for child trafficking. So is cash used for child trafficking. So are dollars, you know, so is precious metals, so is barter. You know, it's not the medium that's the problem. The same as guns are not the problem, it's the people that shoot them, okay? So let's just get that out of the way. But my own crypto story started in, I don't know, 2012 or something like that, when I first heard about Bitcoin. And I thought, well, this is too interesting. And I tried really hard to buy some Bitcoin, but it was too bloody complicated. And I'm personally not that interested in money. You know, I've been successful in business, I failed in business, so it's always been about the idea for me. But you have to have a pragmatic approach to some of these things, especially if you've got children and we're living in a financial system and you've got to pay the bills. Yeah, but most of us are living hand to mouth, and we're taxed to buggery. I think if you actually do the sums, like 95% of all the money in your pocket is taxed. It's a very high percentage anyway. And crypto, so with the Bitcoin, I kind of gave up, but then I did buy into a Bitcoin fund through Bank of the Future, I think it's called, Simon Dixon's. Simon Dixon's a very interesting guy who's been on top of crypto for a very long time. And he released a Bitcoin fund, and I think I invested about 750 quid. And and I forgot about it. And I think it was 2 years later, I was reminded of it, and I thought I'd better go and check that. And it was a punt at the time. And it turned into 50,000 quid. And I sold it. And because I needed the money at the time. And then I didn't really think that much about it, because again, I'm about the ideas, not the I couldn't possibly sit on a screen all day looking at charts going up and down. That's just not my thing. But you know, when you've got a family, it's important to think, well, if that might work, and so I should look into it. But anyway, as time went by, I started to understand crypto more and more. In fact, I met an economist in 2017 who'd received an anonymous email with the Satoshi paper. And I'm not going to get into who Satoshi is or who wrote the paper, whether it was DARPA, whether it was that guy in Australia. It doesn't really matter. The point is that this guy took it upon himself to spread the word about crypto. And by the time I'd met him, he actually said to me, I have more money than God, I don't know what to do with it. Because obviously he got millions and millions of Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin in 2017 was worth about 10,000. Now it's 100,000. I think it's probably going to be worth more going forward. I mean, you've got the Genius Act coming in soon in America. You've got Trump talking about crypto funds. You've got what happened in El Salvador to go and look at if you haven't already, in terms of having a crypto fund. Crypto could be the way of the world being relieved of all debt. Possibly revaluation of currency is the other thing as well. I don't get married to any of these things, and it's very important not to put all of your eggs in one basket, or not, you know, never gamble more than you can afford to lose either. But XRP for me, 5 years ago was like 30 cents. It's currently about, I don't know, 2.20. which is a considerable jump. It's a nearly 200% jump in, excuse my maths if it's wrong, in value. And, you know, I was getting my own children XRP 3 years ago, and because I wanted them to understand this. And it's really important, if you're watching this and you've got children, get your kids to understand crypto, even if you don't. Anyway, XRP. So anyway, in 2017, I was working in the fintech market in London for a little bit on a project, and that's how I got to meet some of these people that were, you know, Bitcoin millionaires. And it was quite weird, to be honest, because they're all like, there's this whole world. If you're not into crypto, there's a whole universe of people that fully understand it and are coming up with incredible solutions. And at the heart of crypto is blockchain technology. And blockchain technology, I believe, is extraordinary and could be used to sort out our political problems going forward. Because if you have people voting on blockchain, which removes the middleman, the blockchain is basically an irrefutable ledger, and it gets rid of the middlemen. And if you think about democracy in our societies, then the middleman is the politician who lies his ass off, or her ass off, to achieve the objectives of whoever's controlling them. So blockchain voting, for example, could be a phenomenal way of us being presented with, well, these are the choices, what do you think? And then we get some very fast decisions made by everybody. But anyway, that's an aside. XRP is the subject of this video, and at the moment it's I think a massively suppressed price, because I have been somebody that's done international bank transfers for years through my businesses, and I noticed in 2020, 21, 22 that international transfers were happening a lot quicker. Now, I believe XRP has already been in place for quite a long time as the replacement of the SWIFT system. The SWIFT system, the simple way of explaining SWIFT is that if I transfer money to you from one country to another, it goes into SWIFT, sits there for a few days, and then gets into your account. This is vastly different between countries. When I lived in Morocco, sometimes it took 2 weeks to get money from the UK or America, because it would sit in the SWIFT system, and there was probably some other dodgy shit going on in Morocco, and that money would be used to make money for them, and then you'd get the transfer when they deemed it appropriate. What happens with XRP is that the money in your account gets transferred into XRP instantaneously, basically, instantly transferred, and then changed into the currency. So the middleman's gone. Now, there are billions and billions and billions of dollars per day transferred across the world, obviously. If you think about just the time saved, the efficiency gains of instant transfers worldwide, that's just an incredible advance on the system. If you think about the saving of fees, it's an incredible amount of money, incredible. If you believe that XRP is already there, as I do, then the price of XRP is massively suppressed. I mean, XRP, when everybody knows this, I might be wrong, you know, I'm just giving you my opinion. You know, maybe XRP isn't going to replace SWIFT, but if I'm right, XRP represents the best investment ever right now, because Ripple and XRP, and there are going to be people out there saying it's not a proper cryptocurrency because it was set up by a company. Yeah, I get that as well. I even wrote an article on, well, I can't remember what it's called, on a website about that a few years ago. I understand all of that stuff. That's not the point of this video. The point is that it's very easy to go and buy XRP now. If you can only afford 10 quid, if you've got a few thousand quid you can spare, what a potential opportunity this is for life-changing money going forward, because I believe XRP is far more valuable than Bitcoin for many, many reasons. Do your own research though, okay? I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not advising you to do anything. I'm just telling you what I think. And I think the reason for making this video today is because I think it's very soon that XRP could fly to heights undreamt of by anybody. You can buy it on Revolut if you've got a Revolut account very easily, but you know, when you buy crypto on an exchange or through Revolut, it belongs to them. So ideally you want to get it into a private wallet, like Exodus is pretty good. There are people that say you need to have an offline wallet. Personally, I don't really see the point of that, because you know, if the system goes down and there's a blackout and all this other stuff that people talk about, what difference is it going to make? I think we're all in the same boat. So personally, I use Exodus as a wallet. It's up to you, you know, but it takes some time to, don't mess about. If you're, what am I talking about? $2.20 right now, something like that. You buy 10 of them for $22 and it goes up to $100,000. You know, you just made $1 million from a very, very small investment. That's what I'm talking about. And I think it's possibly very soon. I might be wrong. Take this with a pinch of salt. It's entirely up to you. But when you've got that kind of money coming in, you know, it could change your family's life. That's all I'm saying today, really, about XRP. Have a look at it. I have a good friend and a business partner in the west of Ireland called Gary Keeley, who made a course for my subscribers, which explains the basics of crypto really well. He's a brilliant teacher. Gary's been crypto man for a long time, and he's a very pragmatic view, and really it's a case of opening maybe 4 accounts and just getting those things set up in the right way. I'll see if I can post a link to that course if you want to do it. You don't have to do it. It's about 20 hours of video. Gary was teaching 80-year-old grandmothers with only a mobile phone on how to do this. So it's, you know, anybody can do this. And I think regardless of whether you do it or not, you should be looking into crypto, how it works, understand how it works, because we have to. We've got no choice. The financial system as it stands is the major tool of our enslavement and has been our entire lives. When people sign up to my email list, the first thing I do is send them a link to a book called The Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin, which is essential reading. It should be in schools, but obviously it's not, because they don't want you to know. Why do you think they don't teach you anything about money in schools? You know, I did a degree in economics, and nobody ever mentioned the fractional reserve banking system. It was never mentioned in a degree. This is why I tell my kids, don't bother going to university, not till we get to the other side of this, because the universities are co-opted into maintaining the illusions that we live in this society, and so are most of the textbooks, and so is all of the media, all of the mainstream media. You've got to find your own way, and you've got to become sovereign in your thinking. And I think having a bit of crypto, especially coins beginning with X, especially XRP, is a pragmatic thing to do. Simple as that. It's just a pragmatic thing to do. So I'm not going to get bogged down in the arguments of whether it's good or bad or anything else. I'm thinking of my family when I say this, and you know, if you're wise, I think you'd at least have a look into it. Anyway, have a fabulous day, and God bless you.